So to a large extent, the Innocentz movement, in part led by Barry Scheck, who's a friend of mine, we went to law school together and who's been a frequent guest here, have been pushing in the direction of saying every time there's a man or woman exonerated, it means there may be others who fell victim to the same ineffective assistance of counsel, bad science, excessive prosecutorial zeal.
Yeah, and I think that Barry's contribution is even greater than he often gets credit for, in that he has made the DNA exoneration, as you say, an example of how bad things really may be, and has taken Mr. and Ms. Middle America saying, well, if you're in prison, you must be guilty, having them question, well, maybe it's not so. And that, therefore, has led to real progress on capital punishment.
As well as on other areas that are not so much wired into hard science, but memory, which is an important science, has gotten a real boost into the system by the Supreme Court's examination of eyewitness identification and how it can be tainted by many other things. The court took a quantum leap forward. Science is being engaged in ways it wasn't before. So the exoneration movement is not just, and I hate to use the word like just, about the exoneration of people who really didn't do it, but about looking more deeply into the flaws that exist in the very human system of criminal justice.
And there is now, at least, which there wasn't when David Shepard first got out, there is now some compensation from the state. And that makes a big difference. It doesn't make up for losing 10, 20, 30 years of your life, but it makes a difference.
None of us would take a dime for a day, a week, a month, or a year unjustly incarcerated. But you're right, states have now begun to pass statutes which will give some compensation for people who are only incarcerated.
And despite his nearly 30-year nightmare, McCallum's story had a good ending.
Like what may have been the justice story of the year, marriage equality for the entire United States. And who better to explain it than the civil rights lawyer who fought and won the case here in New Jersey? So we close with some wisdom from Larry Nussbaum.
It's so amazing to think back on this past year because people already forget that by far the largest civil rights victory, maybe in our lifetimes, occurred this year. And that was the Supreme Court's decision in Obergefell making same-sex marriage a constitutional right for all Americans. Here in New Jersey, it didn't seem like such a big deal to us because we had won it almost 2 years before under our own New Jersey state constitution. But today, that's the law of the land. And it reflects such an extraordinary change in the way we as people view others. I mean, just 10 years ago, this would have been almost inconceivable. But the change that has occurred as a result of different legal developments, as a result of the way people view each other,